Yeah. Yeah, not everybody's for everybody.
Right.
Which is good.
This is the Grow.
Yeah.
You just got to find the ones that are for you.
No, it's true. You know, it's just
Right.
talent.
Right.
Talent. And you can have talent. I mean, again, a lot of people have talent, but you still have to navigate the rest of the world.
Right.
You still got to work with other people in the sandbox. You still have to do these things. So, it becomes an important factor. And when you look at people, like if you ever seen, like, so-and-so had so much, even actors. Right. Oh man, they had so much talent, but they were horrible to work with.
Right.
Like that's what killed their career. It wasn't it wasn't talent that killed their career. It was they were hard to work with. Just none of the crew wanted to work for them. Right. None of the, those types of things.
Right.
Just kill a career or kill opportunities all the time. So
when you hear that in the speaking world too, right?
Yeah. We came in and ended. Oh no, wait, it's back there.
All right.
The levels are off. I don't know what's happening. What were you saying? Go ahead.
You say we hear that in the speaking world too, right?
Yeah.
So-and-so's tremendous talent on stage and tremendously difficult off stage.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a guy that I was really excited to meet. I was excited, not like it was going to change my life, but like we were in the same age group. I was watching some of the stuff he was doing. I had some of his material, and I, went up to meet him, and it was just, he was really just not, it was disappointing.
Yeah.
As opposed to great people I've met in that ecosystem, like a Del Toro and these guys that have been very well, Bill Cates, have been very welcoming.
Right.
It's just, it's like the sometimes you don't want to meet your heroes type thing, type deal. So anyway, welcome. Welcome. That rant means we've started the show.
That's right.
We're super excited to have you back here. This is the Grow Business Podcast, your place and your destination for all things business growth and growing your business. I am Cory Mosley. Here piloting this thing, co-captained and assisted by Lon Graham LG007, also known as
Voice of Reason.
Yes.
It's good to be here, Cory.
Yes. I'm back for another adventure on our March to 100.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Holy moly.
To Rice Krispie treats.
It's going to be snow on the ground by the time we get there. And of course, we got to have those buttons pushed and the camera's got to be moved. And frankly, I have no desire to do any of that myself. Right. Willie H is here. Hit the buttons, William. Now, if you're new to if you're not new to the show, welcome back. If you're streaming us on Spotify, YouTube, you're on CoryMosley.com, or you're listening to us in true podcast format across Apple, Amazon Play, iHeartRadio, everywhere. We're happy to have you back. We hope you've brought some new listeners here, and we continue to have you. If this is your first time, you stumbled upon it. You're like, I want to grow my business. I've seen some stuff on social media, some clips.
Right.
Who are these people?
Right.
Who is this ebony and ivory thing you got going on here? What is this all about? I want to figure it out. Well, we tried to make it easy, so we put the name in the title by calling it the Grow Business Podcast because we're dedicated to doing that. We do that based on my 5 pillars of business growth. I believe every business growth challenge can be handled if you understand the pillar and you are able to identify, isolate, and attack. We base this on the 5 pillars. LG007 knows the 5 pillars, doesn't he?
I do. Mindset, sales, marketing, operations, and people.
Excellent. Give that man a round of applause. Fantastic. It's been touch and go for about 30 episodes, but I'm glad to see that I think we've reached a horizon point here.
I've always known them.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
Known the order.
Yeah, well, what does that matter, right? Bake a cake, as long as the egg and the oil and the stuff goes in before you put it in the oven, you still got a shot, right? No one knows which one you did first.
You always get the right amount. Right.
Okay, well, we'll let that slide. Those pillars are expounded upon more and based in my book, Position for Growth, which is available on Amazon.com, both in Kindle, paperback format. Also available now as a course. If you head over to CoryMosley.com, you'll be able to explore the book as well as our 9-module course. It has a bunch of bonuses attached to it too. So workbooks, downloads, really an opportunity for you. In the event your business has become stuck, stalled, or stagnant, this is a real opportunity for you to break through those barriers and get your business growing again. So we're going to dive right into the 5 pillars. We've got we call it an express show today. LG and I both have some pressing matters to attend to. So we want to give you, we never want to shortchange you. We want to give you all of the content and information. But, you know, maybe Lon's going to have to cut his color commentary out. I don't know. Let's see. Or maybe some rant I might go on. I might have to cut out this time. But I'll save my rants for future episodes.
Yeah, well, we'll do this one in maybe 3rd or 4th gear instead of 1st or 2nd.
So you are 0 for 9 now in predicting our pillars.
So you're counting.
In predicting our pillars. Do you want to give a shot?
Of course I do.
And we're talking what we're going to talk about today.
Well, I played baseball. You got to keep swinging, right?
All right. Yes. Yes. What pillar do you think we're covering?
Mindset.
Today? All right. 0 for 10. Yes. One of these days.
You're way too excited about
One of these days you will get it right.
Yeah.
I'm praying for you, brother.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a new pope and everything.
So
I'm praying for you.
Yeah.
All right.
Smoke.
We're going to talk about the people category today.
Okay, good.
Specific. We got a twofer, but you weren't right either way. Okay. We're going to talk about people.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about it in the context of sales talent.
Okay.
Recruiting top performing sales talent without breaking the bank.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I should just turn it over. Let me just close my laptop and put you on the spot for the next 25 minutes.
Just make me go total.
Yeah.
Total blind.
Get that man's PowerPoint out. Put it up and let's get an impromptu sales presentation from LG 007. So, you know, and part of that, because again, nothing happens. As much as people want to say about salespeople or prima donnas or all these different things, we're not good with paperwork. We're not good with this. We just want to sell and move on. All those things. Here's the fact of the matter.
Right.
Nothing happens until something gets sold.
That's correct.
The accounting department can't do accounting.
Right.
Human resources can't do human resources.
Right.
Right. Nothing. Marketing can't do marketing.
Right.
There's no budget.
There's no budget without money.
There's no money.
Right.
Without something getting sold.
100%.
So the tragedy is when you're inside an organization and you have people who are not properly trained up or don't understand that engagement, or you've got an owner who thinks they can do it all themselves from that standpoint, and do all the inventory and do all the marketing and do all of that. So we want to take some time to look at that. Good salespeople, despite ridiculous things I've heard people I believe are intelligent say, good salespeople aren't a dime a dozen.
Oh, no.
I'll go, here's $1. I'll go, okay, right. Like, don't be dumb, guy.
Well, sales, I'll say this, sales is a profession.
Sure.
It is, and sales professionals are hard to find.
So we want to delve into that here. We've got a couple items we're going to go over with you on the program today and in relation to that. And, I think this starts really by defining what top sales talent means for your business.
Yes.
Right? Defining that success. There are different styles.
Mm-hmm.
What your business is or does can necessitate that style or those skills. Right? A hunter versus a farmer.
Right.
The ability inbound versus outbound is even different, right?
Yes.
So really the key, not skipping over, Cory, just get me a great salesman.
Right.
Well, it doesn't quite work like that. There are people who are monsters at cold prospecting,
right,
but are terrible at relationship building.
Right, exactly.
Beyond, right? But they'll go to the door. Willie H used to hustle them Kirby's back in the
day. That's awesome.
Huh?
Yeah.
They pull up the van, deploy 10 of you out there,
right,
just blocking and tackling.
Right.
Right? Sir, let me spill this dirt on your carpet and get it up for you right now.
Show you how great this is, right?
So so there are people that were could be very, very successful at that, but could never do a software sale that takes 6 to 9 months to cultivate.
Correct.
Right? You know this from being in medical sales and doing these things. So there are people who are built for certain elements.
Correct.
To make sure you're making the right hiring decision, you have to know what those elements are relative to your business.
Correct.
And not blame the
Let the
salesperson.
church say amen.
Yeah.
What
That's
he
right.
said.
Yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, and we're going to get into this, but you have to define what a successful salesperson needs, and then you look for fit. And you've got, one, what do they need to look like, and then two, how will they fit with my clients and with within my within the people within my organization?
Right.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
So we want to define that. Number two, I want you to start thinking about mistakes. So I want to hop in a couple of mistakes here.
Okay.
So people can take corrective measures. Because again, for us, like I want you to have we want you to have the information. You should walk away from every show with tangible assets.
Correct.
Actions you can take. Now, if you don't have a sales problem in your organization,
right?
If you've got great salespeople and your staff and you're great, there's probably still some value here in 30 minutes for you.
Correct.
But if this is not your hot button issue, then okay, I still think there's value. But we want to make sure the people who are saying, you know what, I've been having this problem, that they leave with the tangible aspects of it. So I think, go ahead.
Well, and I'll cut you off. I'll say this, or by listening to this, you may identify something that you missed because you're not a sales expert.
Yeah. Or confirm.
Correct.
That great. We're making the right decision. Right. So here are a couple things. Number one, hiring based on charisma rather than capability.
Correct.
Right? Oh, I liked him.
Right.
See, that's how you end up with, Cory, I don't understand what happened. They were so great in the interview.
Right.
And it's so terrible in the field.
Right.
Like, how did I miss it? Oh, my gut tells you, these different things. Like, oh, you got the gift of gab.
Right.
Like those kind of detrimental statements that in many ways affect what really happens, because and again, that disconnect could solely be between what we just talked about. Number one is that this wasn't the type of salesperson we needed for our type of product and service.
Right. Well, yeah. And the reality of it is you want somebody that you can like, but and you want them to be capable.
Yes.
And sometimes we get blinded by, all of us do. I mean, look, like I say this for sure, hiring salespeople is never 100%.
Sure.
Because if we had that predictive power, we'd all be making money in Vegas.
Right.
So you're going to get some things wrong, but before you get into this situation where you're hiring somebody, identify your priorities and then look for those priorities and then get them to reveal those to you.
Yes.
Maybe this guy can help me.
Yes. That is correct.
Yes.
All right. Number two, I love this one. Overvaluing industry experience versus sales process discipline.
Okay.
You see this a lot of times with people, not from an age perspective, but from a time perspective.
Right.
Oh, I've been doing this 40 years. I have shoes older than you. Like that kind of attitude, particularly when it comes time to like change, or it comes time to new systems or new processes or these type of things, is people going, oh, okay, great. Well, this person has 20 years experience, so they must be better than the person with 3 years experience.
Right.
When we're not really counting, because I've always said, I believe a strong process will outdo a strong salesperson as an individual.
Talent transfers, success does not. What I mean by that is the person who's talented, who does things the right way, who has, however they structure their calls, however they structure their planning, however they structure their engagement, and however they structure their follow-up, it's right for them and works for them. Just because you've been in an industry for 20 years doesn't mean that you have a successful approach to sales.
Right.
And I talk about sales as a profession. And if you're still selling the same way today that you were 10 years ago or 5 years ago, then you're going to have a hard time being successful today. So get them. So this goes back to number one, identify what you need a successful salesperson to do in your organization, and identify whether or not they do it.
Got it.
Or can do it.
Got it.
Voice of reason.
So then the last, with 3 mistakes, I mean, we can go on and on this topic, but I want to give you the top 3. So hiring based on charisma rather than capability. Number 2, overvaluing industry experience versus sales process discipline. And number 3 is not testing for actual sales skills. Right? Do a mock pitch, you know, a cold call, a role play. Like, you know, what do you know about our organization? What did you bring to the interview? What do you know about us? What are some ideas? How would you pitch our product or service based on what you understand? How would you handle this situation?
Right. One of the things you can do, and I've done this a lot, is take a person on a sales call. Have a person spend some time in the field. Say, hey, look, and we do it with the waiter, right? That comes in with the shadowing the other waiter and doing stuff. Yeah, 100%. And the reality of it is and look, this is easier to do when you get into larger organizations, and larger organizations could be a sales team of 5 or a sales team of 10 or whatever it is. But when you have, and I come from a recurring sales business, so I have clients that I go back to a lot. And I would call some of my best clients and say, hey, look, I'm interviewing somebody. Right. Can I bring them by, give them an opportunity to experience a day in the life? But I also get you as one of my best clients can give me your perspective. You know, that Malcolm Gladwell 15-second blank response. And they'll always say, well, Lon, I don't, you know, it's not my job or whatever, but it's an opportunity to value the client as well as interview somebody in a different environment than just your office. Get them out of that.
Guy I want to work with.
Get him out of that office.
He was so excited he was early. He didn't let you finish.
Well, get him out of that office because that's a comfort zone for everybody. And get them into different situations. And sometimes you have to do role plays, but do it. Don't do it in your office. Do it somewhere else. Right. 100%. I like it.
I'll just make up my own stuff. I'll wait for him to get it. Okay. So, you know, let's talk about traits. Yeah. Like traits and mindsets, you know, that people should be looking for in candidates. Right. So, you know, to me, coachability. Okay. Grit. Okay. Emotional intelligence. Okay. Because that's a big one. And for people that get caught up on emotional intelligence, then change it to emotional awareness. Okay, sure. I mean, I'm not saying either one's right or wrong, but there are some people that just get. I don't care how you rationalize it. It's the idea that you need to have adaptability. I call it reading the room. Right. Perfect. Yeah. You need to be able to read the room. Right. And not just be about you barreling through whatever you think is the right way to do something. And then finally, I think, you know, follow-up discipline. Yeah. Which is huge. I mean, you know, that's where, and here's what I don't understand. Well, you're laughing already. Here's what I don't understand. Right. We've known these stats forever. Right. Like 7 no's to yes, average 8 contacts, all these different universal sales stats. Right. Yet time after time after time after time, we see people who can't follow up consistently. Right. With all the technology in the world, it's almost like a mental idea that I'm going to win this battle by not following up. How dare you? I've called you 3 times, or I've left you 3 voicemails, or I've sent you. How dare you? I'm going to show you. Right. I'm going to never follow up with you again, and I'll show you that the real buyers buy when I want them to buy.
That should be against the law.
Yeah.
It should be against the law. Well, we talk about it a lot, Cory, timing versus frequency, right? And timing is most important. Yeah. But what frequency does is increase the likelihood that you're eventually going to get timing right. So sometimes you get that first or second, you get a sale on that first or second call because you hit the timing right. Well, that's why timing is the most important. But sometimes they're not ready for you for 8 to 10 calls. Right. And then on the 11th call, you've either got a new person in place, right, or they've got a new problem, right, or the person that was blocking you, or the person that didn't need you is now gone and they do need you.
Right.
So it's, it's not just about them giving you the Heisman or not wanting to buy from you.
Right.
It's that's not the right time for them to buy from you.
Right. Somebody who's, and this goes back to this is why point number one is so important, because it goes back to that.
Right.
If you've got a 6 to 9 month sales cycle,
Correct.
You can't go hire the guy that was slanging cell phones at the kiosk.
Correct.
At the mall.
Right.
Because that's a different technique.
Right.
Pithy questions, opener lines,
Right.
bringing people over. You got to close right. There's no, I'll see you next week and we'll work on this plan.
Right.
So the whole mindset of how they
Right.
dictate and how they go through customers is now, can you retrain? Sure. But to your point, most small business owners don't have the luxury of big sales teams.
Right.
So you may have some key people, 1 or 2 people in place.
Right.
So trying to retrain behavior, it may not be ideal.
Right.
Right. So now what I may be looking for is someone who's coming out of a similar space where the sales cycle is 6 to 9 months.
Correct.
Or where you've got to show up in person.
Right.
It's a local territory versus somebody who's used to pitching from home across the country. Like, that's the definition to me that I think is very important here. Forget, Cory, should the job ad say? We're not getting into that today.
Right.
Because if you can't get the first part right, it's no different than you and I talking about the ideal customer profile, the ICP.
Right.
It's the same thing here.
Correct. I mean,
Let the church say amen.
Yeah, that was good. That was appropriate there.
100% it was.
Yeah.
So when I worked in the airline industry for a long time, and half of my career I was in leadership, and I led teams of people, and I started looking into getting into pharmaceutical sales.
Right.
And I remember getting in front of a number of different managers, and I had the skill set for it. I just didn't have the background for it. The guy goes, I believe that you can communicate with people. I believe that you can influence decision-making. But if you've never been in an outside sales role, you don't understand what this is like.
Right.
You don't understand how to get past a gatekeeper. You don't understand what to do when you do get past a gatekeeper.
Right.
And the reality of it is in order to get past a gatekeeper, you got to engage a gatekeeper. So,
you got to offer to marry them, like Blue Star, like Wall Street.
Right, exactly.
She used to call her up, Natalie. I think today's I'm going to ask you to marry me. All right, that's what you got to do.
But I think
Bud Fox.
That's
Bud Fox and Blue Star.
And this reinforces your point, though, Cory, is that the person who works in retail sales has a retail sales experience, but that's people coming to them. That's not somebody going out and getting new business, identifying a client, getting new business, talking to, engaging a gatekeeper, figuring out how to have a conversation in a networking group.
Sure.
I mean, those are all things that you're looking for somebody to be able to do, but you've got to know what you need them to be able to do.
Well, and then the other side of that coin is the red flags, right?
Correct.
So, I'm always leery of people who are, blaming their past failures on bad leads, bad managers. Now, I've had some managers that shouldn't win any type of manager of the year award.
Right.
But I don't know that I can lay everything on their doorstep, right? So, I mean, sometimes you learn to work around those things. But the key here in that type of situation, in that interview situation that we're talking about here, kind of, is where do they take accountability?
Right. Well, and that's, goes back to processes, right? I mean,
and narcissism.
And that's true. We've talked about ego before, and there's got to be a component of ego, but it's got to be a manageable component. Like you want somebody that's got an ego, but you also want somebody that can get along with people.
Yeah.
And they've got to be able to get along with the people in your organization.
No, 100%. 100%.
The other thing, and I don't know where we're going to go here, but I'll say this. If you're looking for a way to figure out what kind of salesperson you need, look at your clients. You want somebody that can get along with your clients.
Yeah.
And when I say get along, I mean not just buddy up with them, but somebody who can engage with your clients, motivate them to want to continue to grow their business, partner with them. So think about, a lot of times we don't think enough about the type of person that we want as a client when we're considering salespeople.
That's right.
This might be a guy I want to work with.
Yeah, again, you're applying those same principles that you should be looking at in your business,
right?
In terms of the people that you're hiring.
Correct.
So, you might be listening to this going, well, I'm a small brand.
Right.
You know, how are top tier people going to want to work here? Well, one way is to make sure that you're selling the opportunity, not just the job.
Right.
Right. So highlighting the income potential, highlighting the growth plan, and flexibility. And then having said that, you have to have that.
Right.
Right. So that there has to be a way. I mean, there has to be a plan in place that determines what your outlook may be on commissions, what your outlook may be on a total comp plan for people. And again, it's not always financial. There are different incentives now that get people really, really excited.
Right.
You know, some people just would love the fact that you're going to pay for their Crunch fitness membership.
Right.
You know,
That's exactly
or I mean,
right.
you know, there's that extreme, and then there's the, you know, people that think you should be paying for their Botox. So
their boat and their Botox.
yeah, that's another story for another day. Shout out to those people.
Shout
All
out,
right.
dude.
So income potential, growth, flexibility. Also, leverage the mission. What are you about?
Right.
What is the bigger vision? And
Right.
you know, that creates an opportunity to attract some, because again, you don't really want most people, I would say some jobs call for mercenaries.
Right.
Right. It's a quick hit. It's a whatever. We got to
Right.
get in, bomb, and then move
Right.
on. Whatever your deal may be. Right. They used to do this in like the tent sale business in the auto industry. So there were guys that just they made a movie about it. Sell Hard, I think it was, with Jeremy Piven was in it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Where the event business. So you'll hire a team. They come in for a weekend.
Right.
And they come in and pepper the place with marketing, radio ads, spots,
Right.
and they send their team.
Right.
And their team kind of takes over and works deals, and they have a whole to do, and then they go to the next city.
Right.
So you've got, like, you know, mercenaries coming in
Yeah.
and
It's like a traveling sales circus.
you know, again, sometimes doing it right, sometimes because there's a financial component, right? So generally you're getting compensated, which could be up to 50% of the profit created for that sale, for that weekend. So there's all the incentive in the world to body slam people, for lack of a better word. I mean, it truly is. So that becomes important in terms of what your mission is and your vision to attract aligned candidates. And also, video is very important. And the people have been doing, you know, I'm going to say Grant Cardone really pioneered this over a decade or more ago, requiring people to send in video interviews of themselves.
Right.
And did I ever tell you a story about we were doing that years ago? This is over a decade ago. And a woman sent me an email saying she was going to report us to the Attorney General's office for discrimination.
Interesting.
Because we were requiring video so we could discriminate based on looks. And I thought it was very humorous.
Well, she didn't like that mirror, did she?
Well, I mean, not for nothing. If you send a note like that, you're already telling us where you may fit in the attractive scale. Just saying.
Well,
but you also show that you can't use technology, which was the point. The point was we were looking for people that could. It's not what it was 15 years. I mean, where we are today, where it's ubiquitous to have a smartphone and to have all these things. That wasn't the case back then. So wanting to do more with technology and video, email, and these type of things required people who could execute that. So if you couldn't execute it, that was one instance, but that also stopped people from shotgunning their resumes, which people had a tendency to do, or loading it up in, you know, monster.com, what it was back then, and now shotgunning it off to 1,000 people and hoping something stick. You couldn't do that when you had to do the extra mile. So there was it was everything except what she thought it was about.
Yeah, and the reality of it is that, well, somebody that's going to send you a note like that's not a good candidate, regardless of what they look like or who they are. They're demonstrating that they're not willing to work with you and your clients. Period. But I've used video interviews in the past too. You can establish questions, have everybody ask the same, answer the same question, and then you can make decisions about how people engage and respond and what that and that piece of it. But yeah, you've got to have people that are upbeat, come up with solutions,
That's right.
identify opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for somebody. And here's the thing, we're going to go bring it all the way back to what you were talking about, is the belief system.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to sell, you can call it vision, call it a belief system. You've got to be able to have that conversation across the entire, all parts of your business, especially when you're talking about hiring salespeople. You've got to sell them on your belief in this system, in your belief system about your business, because that's what you're asking them to go sell.
That's right.
Voice of reason.
There you go. Was that a double today, or
I think it was?
Or maybe was that the first one? Okay,
like it.
He's out of buttons. I don't know.
Yeah, we're hot today.
Who knows?
So we're using them all up.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Oh, okay. If you say so, all right, we'll go with that one. Structured hiring is important here.
Yeah,
this is the next point.
Yeah.
A consistent, repeatable hiring process.
Yes.
Resume screen, phone screen, behavioral interview, skills test. Have the process. Because the smaller the company, the more likelihood people are making gut-based decisions. And that's the reason why we want to stress this.
Right.
Obviously, if you're inside a larger organization, yes, you're using disc profiles. You're using many of these different, what is it, NETP, WQ, all of those things. Right. You're using that stuff inside large, skills assessments. Right. Smaller companies, a guy or a woman running a business who's looking to add their first salesperson, oh, okay, so tell me about yourself. And, they're meeting at Starbucks and having some traditional kind of things. And it's like, oh, okay, resume looks good. I'm going to go for it. And they're not really necessarily having those steps that big companies have. You need to, for all the things that we can find wrong with big corporations and how they run, there's a lot of things we could take, a lot of lessons we could take from them that will protect you and help you make better decisions. And I believe that's one of them. So get out the personality assessments. Whatever you believe, Myers-Briggs, whatever it is, all of them have value. They can all be argued in different ways about what they mean and how and the elements of it. But it's a tool that now allows you to have another data point. So even if your gut tells you they're great, what does the science say? Or if the science tells you they're great, you want to have a good reaction, and you want it to be, particularly in small companies, somebody you want to work with.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, look, there's DISC, predictive index, there's
objective management group,
quantum. There's a whole bunch of
self-assessment group, yes.
And whatever one makes the most sense for you is the right one. So that's the reality of it. However, the challenge, and you've talked about this before, Cory, so I'm going to refer to it. You talk about desperate hires.
Yeah.
Most of the time, small business rescue hires.
Yep.
Most of the time, small businesses that don't have a sales team or have one or two person sales team are hiring because they need somebody. And oftentimes they needed somebody 6 months ago, but now it's become so clear and evident that they need somebody, that they are more likely to hire somebody that may not be a good fit.
Right.
My point to you, and if you're listening and you're like, I'm not ready to hire yet, perfect. This is when you should start thinking about what a good salesperson would look like for you. Yeah. Because when you talk to people when you don't need them is when you can make the best decisions about hiring them when you do.
Yeah.
And you better believe it.
It's like the bank. Go get that line of credit before you need it, not when you need it. Because when they smell the desperation, that's when they're more likely to say no.
3 or 4% more interest.
Right. Or not even do it. And we're gonna get the obvious question about where am I finding these people? So yes, you've got the Indeed, you've got the LinkedIn of the world, but there are great alumni networks. There are great. Where's the local university? Right. Your customer base could have referrals or opportunities for you. Right. We have clients because we were their customer. Right. We were 3 years working with a pet food supplier store because that's where we bought our dog food. Right. Yeah. And that conversation turned into, hey, why don't you have anything online? Right. And hey, what are you doing with your marketing? Oh, we're doing one newsletter a month. Oh, all right. Yikes. Maybe we'll fix that. Right. Here we now 3 years later, they continue to be a client. So that works the same way too, potentially with people, inside the network.
Here's what I'll say. If you want to know how important sales are, you use the university example. All you got to do is look at the universities across the country that are developing a sales major. Florida State University did it probably about 10 years ago.
No, Kellogg has one. Kellogg School of Business.
Yeah. Well, VCU now has one as
Okay.
part of their, I think it's part of their business management program or business administration
Yeah,
program.
makes sense.
But these universities understand that people aren't being taught how to sell going through college.
Yeah.
And so not only are they now being taught, they're being taught structure, and you can graduate from VCU with a sales degree, with a business degree focused on sales. That's how important it is. Like I said, it's the engine that drives any business.
For sure. And, when it comes to, okay, great, Cory, we're a small company.
Right.
I can't, we can't pay hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in commission.
Correct.
Even our product doesn't create that opportunity.
Correct.
How do I get a superstar? Well, you might have to get off your high horse and offer some equity.
Right.
Performance-based equity.
Correct.
If your company's been doing $1 million a year, $2 million a year, consistently, you haven't moved off that, or it hasn't broken $1 million.
Right.
What becomes the value proposition? Now you may want to put some points on the table.
Right.
Hey, I'm recruiting somebody. Yes, you're going to make a great salary. You can make a good living. But the carrot on top of that is, we're here. If we can go here with you, the incentive now, this is part of selling the mission, selling the dream to the aspect of it. But I'm willing to, this will trigger X. If we go from $1 million, if we can get to $2 million, then, I'd like to, I'll that would activate 10% equity, 5% equity, 2%, 20%. It's whatever, the idea now that somebody now can be not just a hired gun, but now have a long-term viewpoint. So someone who maybe is coming from an organization where they've been making on the higher end of the salary, they may be willing, if they see the opportunity, you present the mission right, and they see the business right, they may be willing to hedge. They may be willing to take a lower dollar amount for the upside.
Right.
Which allows you to get somebody you might not normally get because they're feeding into a greater security than they might have. I know some great salespeople who, as of a few weeks ago, didn't have jobs, not because they became ineffective, but the structure of the company changed. Tariffs, a lot of, different things, just different situations. People made some decisions to bring in someone at a lower cost value, even if they didn't sell as much. It's still, the math still worked in their favor. So don't be afraid to get creative like that. It's not just about what you can pay in a salary, but if you want 100% of your kingdom, that's one way. If you really want to grow what you've got going on, that becomes an opportunity to do that.
Well, and if you end up offering something like that, you're going to learn a lot about the person you're offering it to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's
their confidence in themselves and their ability to
It's
sell.
very true, and how they view the opportunity. That doesn't mean if they won't consider it, they're bad or wrong or weren't going to do a great job. It's just not for them. But if you're struggling with the idea of how to get a top tier talent or someone that can bring a book of business in already, or these different types of things, but you don't have the margins to make it super lucrative, that is another way that would make it worth their while. All right, we'll do two more and then we'll wrap up. Train like you want them to win.
Yeah.
So, and I talk about this. I talk about people talk about the 90-day probation period. I talk about in the book the 90-day stay.
Right.
This idea that you need a 90-day stay plan. What are all the things that you're going to do in your onboarding process over 30, 60, 90 days to create success for them?
Right.
Not, 90 days is the probationary period. Welcome. We love you.
Right.
Make your training process a recruiting asset. So you're not just throwing people out into the wolves or here, follow this guy for a week, but make it a recruiting asset. Build confidence through that tool so people know coming in that you've prepared them to win.
Yeah, I agree. And encourage them and even invest in them to participate in programs and events and go to local sales programs or sales seminars, or, invest them in, like the online Position for Growth training program is great for business owners and people that want to learn how to grow their business in a different way.
That's
right. Well, there are opportunities like that for salespeople as well. And
Yep.
so say, here's some things we want to do to contribute to your ability to be successful in this role.
No, I love that. And listen, here's what we're going to give you the last one and get out of here.
Yep.
Don't be afraid to pitch the try before you buy model.
Okay.
Is there potentially a trial project?
Right.
Is there a performance-based contract period? Is there a fractional role that
Right.
someone can step into to test the fit?
Correct.
So that you're not, overly committed. Now you're finding this out. So this may not work for everybody, but some people it may make a lot of sense for. But don't be afraid to walk that out there to see if you really are as aligned, if the resume, if the day-to-day fits the resume and connects there. Don't be afraid to pursue that.
Yeah, and this is a great way. This try before you buy is a great way. If you don't think you're quite ready to hire somebody in a sales role, here's what I'll tell you. If you hire a good person, if you hire the right person, they're going to help you grow your business.
Right.
And you may not think that you're quite ready. You know that down the road, you're going to need to hire somebody to be focused on sales
Right.
almost exclusively. This try it before you buy it. Maybe you give somebody in a fractional situation. Maybe you say, here's 10 clients, people that I'm trying to grow and develop. Maybe give them one that's an existing and 10 and 9 that would be completely new business. Let them see what they do, work together with them. It's an opportunity for them to get belief in what they're selling and buying into the vision. And it's an opportunity for you to figure out how to work together and see if this is going to be the right fit. And if you do it before you need it, you're going to make much better decisions.
This might be a guy.
All right. He gave us one before we wrapped up.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you like that, you want some other practical tools and tips, I encourage you to pick up your copy of Position for Growth, available on Kindle, available on Amazon. Also, the Position for Growth course is a self-paced course, 9 modules. I built it for people with ADHD just like me. We get you the concepts, we get you the tactics, we get you the downloads so you can do your checklist and your worksheet and really build that out based on those 5 pillars. So I encourage you to go to CoryMosley.com and check that out. Hit the courses tab right on the homepage. We've got it priced ridiculously right now, under $100. You can get in. Plus, we've got a ton of bonus courses that are in there. So don't send me any emails when the price goes up to probably where it should be, which is 4 digits for what I believe is tremendous value. I mean, we've helped people build significant dollars in their business with the same process that were outlined, and you could do on a self-paced course. So, we hope you had some value today. We thank you for being with us. LG, why don't you give us the outbound goodbye message?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming back. And next time, bring a friend.
Absolutely want to encourage you to do just that. I mean, listen to this guy. LG 007 knows what he's talking about here, all right? This has been another episode of the Grow Business Podcast. On behalf of myself, Cory Mosley, LG 007, Lon Graham, and Willie H. We will see you next week. Willie H., take us out.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
We'll get to it and knock it out. But, it's an issue nowadays. So, it's one of those things that got to be looked at.
Right. It's real.
Looked at and dealt with.
Right. It's real.
So, you can have the greatest process if you can't implement it. Greatest product, greatest service, you can't get it done. Who gets to see it? So,
look, if we all could do everything, we wouldn't need anybody, right?
Right.
So lean into what you're good at and learn from others.
And apparently,
who are good
the
at what
robots are attacking people now.
Oh,
so,
Lord have mercy.
You didn't see that video in the factory where the robot was like, "I ain't doing this today," and the guy had to unplug it.
Oh, is that right?
So,
I missed that.
Yeah. Well, now Willie H freaked me out. Made me watch this movie Megan, where the doll goes crazy.
Oh,
with Megan Fox. Was it called Megan? Is that what it was called? What was it called? All right. He forgot. He referred it to me, and then not Megan. That was a horror movie. Yeah. It's some kind of thing with Megan Fox though, who was in it. Yeah. Sarah, was that it? All right. I give up.
Well, it's like
We're wrapped.